Today's podcast is sponsored by one of my favorite plant-based skincare lines, Osea Malibu. Osea puts your health and the health of our planet first with potent skincare solutions that are pure, safe, and effective.
You're listening to the Ordinary Vegan Podcast, where we teach you everything you need to know about adopting a plant-based diet full or part-time. Our goal is to empower you to live a long and healthy life. You can find today's show at ordinaryvegan.net or on iTunes. If you have any questions, please send an email to questions@ordinaryvegan.net.
Hello, friends, and welcome to podcast number 74, The Best Foods for Respiratory Infection and Overall Lung Health. Today's podcast is dedicated to the respiratory system because so many of us know that most people infected with the COVID-19 virus or any viruses often experience mild to moderate respiratory illness. My goal is to get your respiratory system and lungs in top shape today. And besides avoiding cigarettes, there are many things you can do to strengthen your respiratory tract and lungs. If we haven't met, my name is Nancy Montori, and I am the founder of Ordinary Vegan, the blog, and this podcast. I am also an author of a new book just released on March 10th called The Easy 5-Ingredient Vegan Cookbook. It is so hard to believe that on March 1st, a little over 3 weeks ago, I had a book launch party with my family and friends. Who could have imagined that just 3 weeks and a few days later, I can no longer be in the same room with those friends and family? Also, some of my happiest days of my life come from hanging out with my godson Sawyer, and now I can only see him over Facebook or Zoom. I am trying to face these new challenges with energy, creativity, and of course, faith. But some days it can be challenging, and I think that's because I feel helpless sometimes. My number one goal in life is to take care of the ordinary vegan community and help all of you live a long, disease-free life. And this is out of my control somewhat. But there are actions we can take to protect ourselves from any disease. And I am digging every day for knowledge to help us meet this challenge. And I do believe food continues to be thy medicine. And if we continue to make our body and health our number one priority, we can tackle any health challenge. And by the way, there is a lot of optimistic new information regarding the coronavirus. China is reporting very few new domestic coronavirus cases since March 6. Most cases have been reported among travelers arriving from somewhere else. And the lockdown has been lifted in the province where the outbreak began. Also, there is some evidence that the coronavirus, like most viruses, prefers colder, wetter conditions and wane in the sunnier months like spring. And spring is upon us and summer is close by. Information changes every day, so it can be challenging to find the correct information to share. So from here on in, I am only sharing information that is backed up by scientific evidence or coming from a medical organization because I think that is what we all need right now, empirical evidence. For example, Science Daily posted a new study on March 20th, 2020 from the University of California. The conclusion was that the virus that causes COVID-19 remains for several hours to days on surfaces and in aerosols. This study suggests that people acquiring the coronavirus through the air and they are acquiring it by touching contaminated objects. The study also supports everything you are hearing from public health officials, but also recommend cleaning and disinfecting frequently touched objects because the virus can last up to 4 hours on copper, up to 24 hours on cardboard, and up to 3 days on plastic and stainless steel. Another piece of information I want to share is from the American Academy of Otolaryngology. They specialize in conditions of the head and neck, who posted information on their website saying that mounting evidence indicated that loss or reduced sense of smell and loss of taste could be significant symptoms associated with COVID-19. And they have seen patients who ultimately tested positive with just those symptoms and no other symptoms. As a matter of fact, local television personality here in the United States, his name is Andy Cohen, posted on Instagram that his symptoms included a loss of appetite and loss of sense of smell. Just something to be aware of. I will put links to this observation and study in this week's show notes. Now, let's talk about lung health and all the ways we can keep our lungs and respiratory tract healthy. And it's easier than you think. Your lungs provide oxygen and keep every organ functioning by removing carbon dioxide from your body. And then it feeds oxygen to every cell in the body. Without sufficient oxygen, people are more prone to health problems, and not only respiratory illnesses, even heart disease. Currently, more than 25 million people just here in the United States have asthma, and approximately 14.8 million have been diagnosed with COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. COPD is the fourth leading cause of death in the United States, and in 8 out of 10 cases, it is caused by exposure to cigarette smoke. Before we go on, I can't stress this enough. Please don't smoke or vape right now. You are putting yourself at a higher risk of more severe COVID-19 symptoms compared to non-smokers. So this would be a particularly good time to try and quit or at least cut down. Smoking and vaping weakens your lungs. One study published in the New England Journal of Medicine just in February looked at 1,099 patients in China with COVID-19, and of the 173 patients who had severe symptoms, 17% were smokers and 5% had previously smoked. And sadly, the study showed that in the group of patients that either needed ventilation, intensive care, or ultimately died, 25% of those were smokers. I was also surprised to find out that lung function starts to decline at around the age of 30 at variable speeds depending on the general and specific health of the individual. After 35 years old, breathing becomes gradually more difficult. The lungs and respiratory system allow us to breathe. They bring oxygen into our bodies and send carbon dioxide out of our bodies. The respiratory system includes the nose, the mouth, the throat, the voice box, the windpipe, and your lungs. There are many different viruses that can affect the breathing passages and cause respiratory illnesses, such as a cold or flu. No specific treatment is required for mild respiratory infections. Most people recover with rest and drinking plenty of fluids. You need to seek medical advice if the symptoms worsen or if you have shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, severe dehydration, or if you can't keep liquids down. The first and most important food for respiratory and lung health is broccoli. The secret ingredient in broccoli is sulforaphane. We have talked about sulforaphane before. As far back as 2011, studies have shown sulforaphane increases something called NRF2 expression, which is a major regulator of antioxidant response in the lungs and protects epithelial cells against injury caused by cigarette smoke. Epithelial cells serve an important role in lung function and help moisten and protect the airways. Other studies provide evidence that sulforaphane-containing broccoli may protect against asthma, COPD, and other respiratory illnesses. In addition to that, remember that study from China I have mentioned a few times before? A clinical trial involving 300 people living in China's most polluted regions found that a daily consumption of a half cup of broccoli sprout beverage produced rapid, significant, and sustained higher levels of excretion of benzene known to cause cancer and acrolein, which is a lung irritant. In the 12-week trial, participants who drank the beverage of freeze-dried broccoli sprout saw a 61% increase in their rate of benzene excretion beginning the very first day and continued throughout the entire trial. The author of this study said that broccoli can be a simple and safe means that can be taken by individuals to possibly reduce the long-term health risks associated with air pollution and respiratory problems like shortness of breath, coughing, wheezing, asthma, and chest pains. At any rate, everywhere you look, sulforaphane enhances the cell's ability to protect itself against disease. Hands down, broccoli is your number one defense against respiratory infections. Before I mention the next nutrient, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Osea Malibu. I discovered plant-based Osea Malibu way back in the 90s, and it was one of the first vegan skincare lines on the market. They were plant-based before it became a marketing strategy for everyone else. I especially love their Undaria algae body oil. Osea can help reveal and illuminate your natural radiance, whether you're looking for hydration, oil balancing, anti-aging, or blemish solutions. And take it from me, it smells and feels so lovely. Not only that, Osea Malibu is formulated with all skin concerns in mind. Osea makes products infused with sustainably sourced organic Patagonian seaweed and active botanicals. To purchase Osea Malibu, go to oseamalibu.com/ordinaryvegan. That is OSEAMALIBU.com/ordinaryvegan to get $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Thank you, Osea Malibu. The next food, or should I call it a nutrient, I want to mention is water. Water is essential for healthy lungs. In order to take in oxygen and eliminate carbon dioxide, our lungs must be continually moistened with water. When the body is dehydrated, it tries to prevent respiratory water loss by producing histamines, which close off the capillaries in the lungs. Dry lungs are prone to irritations, and staying well hydrated keeps the mucosa linings in the lungs thin. The thinner linings help the lungs function better. Since the body continually loses water through normal body function, the water needs to be constantly replaced to keep the lungs and body healthy. By the time you begin to feel thirsty, the body is already dehydrated. So drinking 8 cups of water a day is crucial for respiratory health and overall health. The next food group is omega-3. Omega-3 can boost lung function and reduce the risk of breathing problems due to its anti-inflammatory benefits. According to researchers at the University of Rochester School of Medicine and Dentistry, omega-3 was effective at clearing a type of bacteria called NTHI, which often plagues people with inflammatory lung disease like chronic pulmonary disease. They also concluded that omega-3 can help shut down any lung inflammation problems, including bronchitis, pneumonia, and ear infections. In 2019, the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey explored the relationship between omega-3 intake and morbidity in respiratory diseases. They concluded there is an association of omega-3 lowering the odds of respiratory infections. The best plant-based sources of omega-3 fatty acids are chia seeds, flax seeds, and hemp seeds, and I recommend 2 tablespoons a day. Next up are tomatoes. In 2017, a study found that regular intake of tomatoes can help slow the natural decline in lung function among all adults. Researchers at Imperial College London found that adults who on average ate more than 2 tomatoes or more a day had a slower decline in lung function compared to those who ate less than 1 tomato. They concluded that a tomato-rich diet may help repair lung damage in people who have stopped smoking. The study shows that a diet might not only repair lung damage in people who have stopped smoking, it also suggests that a diet rich in tomatoes can slow down the lung's natural aging process, even if you have never smoked. The next food is green tea. In the last podcast, we talked about how drinking green tea could strengthen your immunity, and I may have mentioned that green tea has high levels of quercetin, which acts like a natural antihistamine and slows down the release of histamines, reduces inflammation, and protects the lungs from irritation. Next up are my favorite, leafy green vegetables like spinach and kale. On podcast 56, Eating the Rainbow for Optimal Health, we talked about chlorophyll, which gives vegetables and fruits their beautiful green color. Chlorophyll helps support blood flow to the lungs. And a 2016 study found that chlorophyll helps slow the progression of lung cancer. Another of my favorite ingredients is ginger. And ginger is a natural decongestant that helps clear up clogged air passages and improves circulation in the lungs. If you are having any respiratory issues, a cup of green tea with fresh grated ginger could assist you to breathe better. Next is cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is rich in capsaicin, which can protect mucous membranes in the lungs by stimulating healthy secretions. The last food group I want to mention, and I mention it a lot, are vitamin C foods. A team from St. George's Hospital Medical School in London studied the diets and lung function of more than 2,500 men aged 45 to 49. They found that good lung function was associated with high intakes of vitamin C, E, and beta-carotene. Other studies have suggested that vitamin C may have a protective effect against lung cancer. When scientists researched over 21 studies, they concluded that the highest vitamin C intake level was significantly associated with less risk of lung cancer. Not only that, there was a decrease in risk of 7% for every 100 milligram increase of vitamin C per day, which is very easy to consume. For example, one orange has around 70 milligrams of vitamin C. Red bell peppers have 3 times more vitamin C than an orange, so a half cup of red bell peppers could decrease your risk of lung problems by 7%. Or kale has about 80 milligrams of vitamin C for each cup. These are simple foods to include every day in your diet. Not only is it great for your lungs, vitamin C is the single best vitamin for the growth and repair of tissues in all parts of your body, and the best way to build your immune system. Foods that you need to avoid that can hurt your respiratory health are fried foods, unhealthy fats found in processed meats or oils, dairy, which can increase mucus and inflammation in the airways. And your lungs don't just need food, they need exercise too. Since regular day-to-day activity doesn't help you use your lungs to full capacity, you should challenge your lungs with more intense activity. This can help counteract the buildup of toxins and tar in the lungs caused by environmental pollutants, allergens, and cigarette smoke. So you need to help your lungs cleanse themselves. This can be accomplished by breathing exercises. I talked about this in podcast number 72. Try counting your breaths. You can increase your lung capacity by increasing the length of your inhalations and exhalations. Start by counting how long a natural breath takes. If it takes to the count of 5 to inhale, it should take to the count of 5 to exhale. You want them to be of equal length. Once you know your average breath, add one more count to each inhale and exhale until you can comfortably extend the length of time it takes to fill and empty your lungs. That method of breathing not only improves your lung health and keeps your vital organs going strong, it also relaxes you, slows your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure. You can also practice diaphragm breathing or belly breathing, which engages the diaphragm. The technique is particularly helpful in people with COPD, as the diaphragm isn't as effective in these individuals and can be strengthened. According to the COPD Foundation, you should do the following to practice diaphragm breathing. Relax your shoulders and sit back or lie down. Place one hand on your belly and one on your chest. Inhale through your nose for 2 seconds, feeling the air move into the abdomen and feeling your stomach move out. Your stomach should move more than your chest does. Breathe out for 2 seconds through pursed lips while pressing on your abdomen, and just keep repeating that. Another method is pursed lip breathing. This exercise reduces the number of breaths you take and keeps your airways open longer. More air is able to flow in and out of your lungs so you can be more physically active. To practice it, simply breathe in through your nose and breathe out at least twice as long through your mouth with pursed lips. That is it for today's podcast. You can find me at ordinaryvegan.net. Please visit my fabulous sponsor, oseamalibu.com/ordinaryvegan to receive $10 off any purchase of $50 or more. You can find me on Instagram at ordinaryvegan and on Facebook at facebook.com/ordinaryvegan. You can also find my pure, organically grown vegan CBD products on my website, ordinaryvegan.net/shop. CBD from hemp can help enhance the receptors that produce serotonin, and serotonin can positively affect the immune system. I think you might enjoy my book. The Easy 5-Ingredient Vegan Cookbook is now available on Amazon. And thank you so much for being here today. I hope something I shared today helps you through this difficult time. I would like to end by sharing a quote from Anne Lamott from the 12 Truths I Learned from Life and Writing. Anne wrote one of my favorite books of all time called Bird by Bird. She said, "Go outside, look up. That is the secret of life." Thank you, guys. Till next time.
Thanks for joining our plant-based community today. Together, we can accomplish great things. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of Ordinary Vegan's recipes and plant-based tips. If you have any questions or feedback, email us at questions@ordinaryvegan.net. Until next time.